Jacob Collier just put into words something I've thought about Rick Rubin's philosophy for a long fucking time. So watch the video. It's going to blow your mind.
Rick Rubin has that great sort of quote of
the audience comes last.
The audience comes last. And when I read that, I resonated with that at first. I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I should be creating for me to be true to me.
Yeah.
Although many times in my career, the audience does not come last.
Yeah, right.
And is a high consideration.
I had the same response to you the first time I saw that. I thought like, okay, Rick, yeah, I get it. Like,
yeah,
go ahead. And then I thought about it more, and I did a lot of research about Rick. And to me, the crux of that is, this is for everyone, or this is for me, right? And my perspective of this is a particular one because I made a lot of my first work for me. So that's not novel to me. What was novel to me at age 20 was to make something for others and with others. That felt new and interesting and inspiring. My trajectory of creativity has gone away from making things for me and towards making things for others, and I love it. And so I worry about this, the strong prevalence of an attitude like the audience comes last, partly because I also believe that there just is no one way of doing anything. I feel as a deeply creative person, I would critique Rick in a sense that I don't think his audience is creative people. I think his audience is people who aren't creative, for whom creativity is novel. And they're thinking, gosh, wow, I never even thought that you could make something for yourself, you know? But I feel like anybody who's inherently creative in some way knows that there's no one way to do anything. You can make work for people. You can make work for an audience. You can conform to the algorithm. You can make an engaging thumbnail. That's cool. You can also lock yourself up in a room, like I did for many years, and make stuff that you just deeply, deeply care about that has never been made before and will never be made again. That's cool as well. And for anyone to say there's only one way of being, I think is flawed and maybe unhelpful. Though I would say that if anyone who's watching this has watched a Rick Rubin video and felt inspired, fuck yeah. Like, that's great. You know, like, who am I to say don't be inspired? But I would just say that, I've learned so much. I've learned there's so much more to the process than make work only for yourself. Rick has this chapter in his book where he talks about, picture yourself on the top of a mountain, and at the top of the mountain is like a luxury haven with perfect plushy pillows and an amazing view and where no one can ever disturb you. And then he says, this is the nature of good art, great art. I just disagree with that. I disagree. Because I think great art is when you walk down the mountain from the chilly cold lack of oxygen to the warmth of the village, and you exchange stories and food and energy, and you meet people where they are, and you say, this is for you, not this is for me. I also think more than ever before, we live in a world where it's unhealthy and irresponsible to say things in silo and not to be challenged. And I think that Rick describes his beliefs and writes his book like he's not starting a conversation. He's stating things as though they're true. And I get it. Like, I do that sometimes too. As a creative person, in order to iterate your ideas, it helps to write them down as gospel truth and as fact and whatever. But I think all the wisest and greatest and most important creatives and producers, I mean, Rick is a producer, it's even more important for him than anyone else, is to ask the right questions, not give the right answers or any answers. Questions last way longer than answers. They're more important, they're deeper, they're more crucial. And in the age of AI, creators are going to be more and more asked to prompt with the right question than know with the right answer. Like, I'm excited about this idea of a question culture rather than answer culture. So I look at Rick and it's like, has anyone ever debated him on this stuff? Because there are ways of approaching creativity. As someone who's solved a lot of problems myself and has my own particular angle on things, I'm not the ultimate angle. I'm me, I'm Jacob. I see the world the way I see it. But I'd love to sit with Rick at one point and just talk to him and chew the cud and push him. And I'd also welcome to be pushed, because all of us need to be examined. Our opinions need to be examined and squeezed and broken. And I just think that anyone who sits there saying, this is the one way to do it, Rick says things like, art is only pure if it's made for only art's sake. Absolutely false. You can make totally pure art any way you want, including reaching a ton of people for that purpose. It's okay to be ambitious. It's okay to want to reach people and move people. Last thing I'll say about Rick before we move on, is I don't trust him, because he started his career making this commercial music, which is beautiful, and we all love it, and it's amazing. And I'm sure he has his own opinions of that work, but I think to say art is only pure, or meaningful if you make it only for yourself is hypocritical of him, because I think that he's made a lot of not just popular but actually beautiful and meaningful work for many people. I think what he maybe is trying to say is that he wasn't fulfilled by the work, which is totally valid. And I think that all of us seek our own fulfillment in different parts of our life and existence. But
Rubin's philosophy is all about making the art that you want to make, not worrying about what the audience wants, ignoring them. And then if you focus on what you want and you tap into that, then divine intervention will happen. Then the muse will strike you and you will create stuff that stands the test of time. That's his philosophy. And I've had to deal with a lot of content creators who have heard Rick Rubin and then been ruined by him. They come in, they're like, no, I don't want to do a green screen. No, I don't want to make content like that or like this or like anything. I just want to say what I want to say. And they're making bad content and they don't care about the audience. And to me, it comes up across as very selfish and ignorant and ineffective. Like, it ultimately won't work. And I've never quite been able to say the things that Jacob Collier said. So I'm so glad he said this. And I think it holds way more weight because he's incredibly creative and talented and one of the best musicians around. And so him saying, actually, I disagree, I think that's selfish. I think we have to bring the audience into the creative process. We have to understand what they want and find the ikigai, right? The crossover between what we want and what the world wants. And this is what I think it takes to win on social. It's not just about what the audience wants, because eventually if you just shill yourself out and make content that you don't like, but the audience wants, eventually you will break, you will burn out, you will quit. Or you will be seen as a meme or a joke or a clown. But also it's not just about you, because if you are detached from the realities and the data and the response that the world gives you, you will never be able to adjust quick enough to find ikigai, to find the overlap between what you want to create and what the audience wants to see.